The biggest pop star of a generation, a teen idol, the princess of pop, American singer, songwriter, dancer, and actress, Britney Spears was born December 2nd, 1981. Since then, she has faced seemingly unending, unethical treatment. She has lived what honestly might be 40 plus years of abuse from the media, her family, and even the American justice system. Today, I dissect this unending, unethical treatment of Britney Spears. My name is Allison. I make pop music and opinion content here on my channel, so make sure to subscribe if you're interested in this type of video. Today, I will be discussing the 13-year conservatorship of Britney Spears, how we got there, what went wrong, and why exactly this all is so wrong under the law. My background is not as a lawyer or therapist or anything like that. I will say, though, I do have a minor degree in bioethics and medical humanities, which accompanied my Bachelor of Science in Biology degree. So I did study ethics in college, and I have quite a few things to say about the way Britney has been treated throughout this 13-year conservatorship. Since her career began in 1998, Britney has seen oscillation between highs and lows, good and bad, being on top of the world to being treated, as she says, like nothing by her family. For 13 years, her abusive alcoholic father was in charge of her finances, her career, her life, and her health. Here are the details of exactly why that is so unethical. Since the start of her career, Britney Spears was criticized for just about everything. What she wore on stage, what photographs she took in magazines, what she said, what she didn't say. Britney Spears wasn't allowed to do anything without criticism, and that went on for years. It culminated with paparazzi obsessed with her mental breakdown that started around the time when she divorced her husband. Though Britney was never treated well from the media, I think from the way I see it, it got significantly worse after her breakup from Justin Timberlake in 2002. Justin was absolutely ruthless with the private information he was willing to divulge about his ex, accusing her of cheating through his music videos and on interviews talking about their sexual past. I think that the start of Britney's downfall can be tracked to how the media treated Britney in the fallout of this breakup. Clearly, two people were at fault in a breakup, yet one person faced the majority of the hate, and that was, of course, the woman, Miss Britney Spears. In 2004, Britney Spears married backup dancer Kevin Federline. The two quickly had two children back-to-back, less than a year apart, Sean Preston and Jaden James. About a month after their second son, Jaden, was born, Britney filed for divorce, supposedly due to Kevin cheating on her. This 2007 divorce wasn't only emotionally tumultuous for Britney, it was also very public, with paparazzi following her every move, insistent on catching photos to make her out to be a bad mom or anything else that will be a salacious headline. In the beginning of 2007, while suffering this divorce, custody battle, and supposedly postpartum depression, Britney Spears lost her aunt, whom she was very close to. This ignited her mental breakdown just a little bit more. This, quote, mental breakdown included Britney shaving her head and bashing a paparazzo's car with an umbrella. Some may say that this mental breakdown is proof that she had become crazy. I say it's proof that she's a human. I don't know how any of us would have been able to take that much media hounding, paparazzi, everywhere, criticism of your every single move, on top of a divorce, on top of grief, on top of having just had a baby and the hormones in your body completely going crazy. I think that her breakdown really wasn't too bad. I mean, for some reason, everyone assumed that Britney shaving her head was a sign that she was completely out of control, instead of considering maybe she just didn't want to have hair anymore. Maybe that was her way of saying, leave me alone. I've had enough. I don't want to be looked at. I don't want to be touched. I don't want to be followed. I give up. Leave me alone. Instead of listening to Britney's wishes, things simply got worse. In January 2008, when Britney's visitation with her sons was up and it was time to hand back the kids to Kevin Federline, Britney locked herself in a bathroom with her youngest son, refusing to hand them back over. This to me seems like a clear symptom of the postpartum depression. She is with her young child that she doesn't want to hand over. She wants to be with him. She's bonded to him as a mother. She doesn't want to turn him over. She's been through a lot. Instead of being met with compassion and given love and support and more time with her child, she was given a 5150 involuntary psychiatric hold and taken to a medical center for mental evaluation. Britney's mental health was evaluated and she lost visitation rights to her kids. Full custody was given to Kevin Federline, who, I'll note, isn't exactly Father of the Year. Britney, again, divorced him because he would go out to Vegas, partying all the time, supposedly cheating. It's not like Kevin was best dad reading books at home with his kids and he was perfectly fine and Britney was the problem. This whole thing seems like, honestly, I don't know who was making these decisions, but it seems very sexist. In February 2008, by the suggestion of a woman named Lou Taylor, Jamie Spears, father of Britney Spears, files for conservatorship over her person and her finances. A conservatorship is where a judge appoints a guardian to an adult person who cannot take care of themselves and their finances. There are two types of conservatorships: conservatorship of just the person and their daily affairs, their life choices, and also conservatorship over the finances. Jamie Spears filed for both conservatorship of the person and finances and was granted temporary conservatorship. Conservatorship is meant as a last resort for an adult person who is unable to take care of themselves and their finances. For example, unable to brush their teeth themselves, or likely to be scammed by some foreign prince asking for money. Conservatorship is most commonly used amongst older adults who have started to lose their memory or other mental impairments. The petition for conservatorship of Britney Spears cites the reason being dementia, with seemingly no other medical evidence documents being attached. Symptoms of dementia include forgetfulness, limited social ability, and impaired cognitive thinking abilities. In the United States, due process for a conservatorship involves giving a 5-day advance notice to the potential conservatee for them to be able to find a lawyer and work up a defense as to if they do need the conservatorship or not. Interestingly, Britney was not given this advance notice, and this was cited because she lacked capacity to be able to retain counsel and hire her own lawyer. While she was hospitalized, Britney contacted lawyer Adam Streisand to represent her, but he was dismissed from court after lawyers decided that Britney Spears was unable to make the capacity of choosing her own lawyer. The 4 key components of this having mental capacity includes communicating a choice, having understanding, appreciation, and ability for rationalization and reason. Britney Spears is clearly demonstrating her understanding of her situation by attempting to hire a lawyer. She is expressing her choice, and she would really appreciate having someone she trusts to represent her. She clearly has reason and ration, yet she is, for some reason, labeled as lacking capacity. On February 22nd, Britney Spears attempted to hire another lawyer, John Erdley, who argued that his client Britney's constitutional rights were being violated by not having gotten the 5 days advance notice. Once again, the lawyers for Jamie Spears argued that Britney Spears lacked mental capacity to choose her own lawyer. In July, Britney Spears regained visitation rights over her son and began working on her new album, Circus. Her temporary conservatorship at this time was extended to the end of December. However, on October 28th, the conservatorship was made permanent so as to protect Britney Spears from, quote, undue influence. On December 12th, the court approved payouts of $1.5 million to be taken from the estate of Britney Spears in order to pay those involved in the conservatorship case, including $200,000 given to Brian Spears for being the head of Britney's trust. The monthly pay for Jamie Spears was increased from $12,000 to $16,000. For reference, during this entire conservatorship, Britney's weekly allowance was $1,500 or $6,000 a month. For the next 13 years, Britney Spears would now need permission from these conservators in order to make any decisions regarding spending, healthcare, career, or marriage. Britney was forced into constant medical evaluations, drug tests, forced medication, forced therapy, and forced work. Between the start and end of her conservatorship, Britney made millions of dollars through her work on 4 albums, 4.5 tours, and a Vegas residency. It is important to note that when conservatorship of both the finances and the person are held, there is a clear conflict of interest because the conservator then has stake in overworking the conservatee, because then they would be able to gain more money. In addition to this conflict of interest, there are many things that raise red flags to potential court corruption in this case. For example, why would we choose a conservator to be a known alcoholic? Jamie Spears was known to be an alcoholic, and also Britney cites that he was abusive over Britney's brother Brian when Britney was growing up. Typically, if a family member is abusive of one family member, they are likely abusive of all of them. It is my belief, with no other expertise, that Jamie Spears was abusive over the entire household, including his wife Lynn and daughter Britney, daughter Jamie Lynn, and son Brian. Britney has consistently expressed frustration that her mother has not spoken up for her or defended her throughout this entire conservatorship case. In fact, Britney has said that her mother Lynn helped the entire thing to come together. It is of my belief that if Jamie has been an abusive alcoholic throughout Britney's entire childhood, Lynn was likely abused as well and is likely afraid of her ex-husband. Let's summarize what we know so far. Britney Spears had been acting erratically, though had no drugs or alcohol in her system. To be able to help and protect her with this, a known alcoholic who had no other involvement in her life up until this point is the person to be in control of her person and her finances. On the first day, Britney quotes Jamie Spears as saying, "I'm Britney Spears and I'm calling the shots." Jamie Spears reportedly told Britney that she didn't have to go along with what he said, but if she didn't, there was going to be a big court trial and Britney would lose because there are so many people on Jamie Spears' side, but Britney isn't even allowed to have a lawyer. During the time of the conservatorship, Britney loyally followed all of the rules for hopes that she would be able to spend more time with her children and other people that she loved. She was a good little soldier who did her forced therapy even though she felt like she couldn't trust anyone with her story after what she's been through. Britney wasn't even able to do this forced talk therapy in her own home. Instead, she was sent to a busy part of town where there are lots of paparazzi able to take pictures of her coming out of therapy crying. Britney suffered, quote, lots of embarrassing and demoralizing abuse under this conservatorship. Britney did all of the work but got none of the play. She was unable to see her friends, go out to party the way she wanted to. She wasn't able to drink. Britney was told she was fat every day. She wasn't allowed to see her friends. In fact, her conservatorship team went as far to change the contact names in her phone so that Britney would think that her friends aren't texting her back. This entire thing is covered in mental manipulation to break Britney down, to make her weak and make her unable and unwilling to fight back. Britney worked 7 days a week from 8 to 6, and as she says, sometimes she could watch a movie. Britney was a machine. She says she doesn't even know how she got through it. She says she thought they were trying to kill her. Britney didn't want to do all the tours and performances that she was told she had to do, but she was also told that if she didn't, her own management could sue her. Britney wasn't given a break between her tour and her residency. Throughout this entire time, Britney wasn't just there and present. She wasn't good, she was great. She was teaching her dancers choreo. She was heavily involved, as she always is. These kind of things aren't the types of things somebody with dementia can do. Somebody with dementia cannot memorize dance moves. It just doesn't work like that. At one point, Britney said that she didn't like a certain dance move and wanted to do a different dance move instead. This was used as an excuse for Britney not cooperating and needing to be evaluated for different medication. She was then taken off of her regular medication that she had been taking for years and put on lithium instead, which is a very intense, strong medication. Britney said that she felt like she was drunk. She felt like she wasn't even all there. She wasn't able to have a serious conversation. Jamie Spears loved having Britney's power. To me, it seems like Jamie had watched Britney grow up to be this global superstar, to be adored and celebrated, and I think Jamie Spears was jealous that he never had that kind of power or influence. He went through Britney's career watching back and seeing that she was being celebrated, and he was so jealous that he came up with a way to take Britney's power away from her, to steal his daughter's joy. Britney says that her mother and sister Jamie Lynn witnessed this all happening, but Britney seems to think that they enjoyed this. They secretly enjoyed thinking that Britney was the bad one of the family that needed to be handled. While Britney was being treated like a prisoner, her family enjoyed spa treatments and spending time at Britney's beach house. Now let's talk about the ethics of this conservatorship exploitation. The rights of a conservatee in California include the right to ask questions, to ask for a review of the conservatorship, and to cite concerns within the conservatorship. It's clear that Britney doesn't actually suffer from dementia, because if she did, she wouldn't be able to memorize lyrics to songs and dance moves and be able to work as much as she is. Allegedly, what Britney actually suffers from is bipolar disorder and anxiety, which both make a lot of sense with what she's been through. However, though Britney has suffered these mental challenges, she wasn't able to be given the proper time to rest and relax. Instead, she was being worked like a horse. Now, it's pretty obvious to me that Britney Spears has enough money that she would never have to work again a day in her life. There is no reason for the good of Britney Spears that she needs to be forced to work. That doesn't make any sense. During this conservatorship, Britney Spears made hundreds of millions of dollars and performed hundreds of shows. In ethics, there is rarely one right answer, so instead there are a variety of lenses that we can examine an issue through. It seems like no ethical lens supports overworking a person who already has millions of dollars if they're suffering from mental challenges. The principles of medical ethics, which are very important pillars to follow, include beneficence, which is doing good for a person, non-malfeasance, which is doing no harm to a person, autonomy, which means the person is able to make their own decisions about what happens to their body and their medical choices. And the last principle is justice, which is fair treatment under the law. One type of ethics is virtue ethics, which is based on what is doing the right thing. I don't think anyone can consider overworking a person who is dealing with serious mental challenges to be the right and the moral thing to do. Another common lens is utilitarianism, which is looking for net good, as in there is more good done than harm. I think that it doesn't make a lot of sense to say that having a person work so much for millions that they already have is somehow doing more good than the harm that it is causing to Britney's physical and mental health and her ability to have longevity to her career. Another lens is consequentialism, which lines up with the phrase, the ends justify the means, which means whatever we needed to do to get there, the end goal is what matters and not what we need to get there. So in Britney's case, this would basically be saying those millions of dollars justify overworking and exploiting Britney Spears. That doesn't track. One other ethical lens that I'll bring up today is deontological ethics, which is based on the duty of a person to protect and to do the right thing. Theoretically, the conservator has a duty to protect the conservatee. It is obvious that Jamie Spears is not protecting his daughter Britney by forcing her to do more work. See, that is not protecting her from harm. In fact, it is actually causing more harm and more stress to her life. To me, it's clear that due process was definitely corrupted here. There is no reason that Britney Spears should have been labeled as lacking capacity. There is no reason that she shouldn't have been present for her conservatorship hearing. She should have been there, at least so the judge could meet her and see that her brain is functioning. After she had proven that she can work, put out albums, and do concerts, she should have been released from the conservatorship, even though it should have never happened in the first place. Conservatorship is meant to be a last resort. It isn't the first step. Conservatorship is the last step. It takes away somebody's fundamental rights, including the rights to make their own medical decisions. In ethics, we call this paternalism, which is the assumption that somebody can make a better choice for somebody else than that person can make for themselves. And that is wrong because, again, in ethics, there is a large importance on a person being able to make their own decisions. The person knows best about their own life, not you knowing best about that person's life. So there's clear exploitation here. Millions of dollars were made. There were so many people involved in keeping this whole thing going, to keep padding their pockets with more and more of Britney Spears' money. This whole time she felt like she was being ganged up on, like her concerns weren't heard. When Britney went to court and expressed her concerns of the conservatorship, it seems like they were never heard. It seems like there was never any consideration to the actual abilities of this adult person, adult young person, Britney Spears, who is not an aging adult with dementia. She is a young person who is singing and dancing and working and earning lots of money for lots of people. And yet this whole thing continued, not because it was best for the conservatee Britney Spears, but because it was best for the conservators and their lawyers to keep this whole thing going so that they could continue raking in their millions. It is estimated that there are about 1.3 million guardianship cases right now, controlling around $50 billion for people whose rights have been taken away under this conservatorship. Now, for some people, it is the right decision, but for many people, it is not the right decision because it completely takes away the person's rights as an individual. The decision to put somebody in a conservatorship is a decision that should never be made so lightly as it was in this Britney Spears case. Essentially, what happened was they saw that she was doing some erratic things, as everyone does, and is perfectly normal, especially if you have postpartum depression and your hormones are raging all over the place. Britney Spears should have been met with care and compassion, and instead she was taken by her family, put into imprisonment, and forced to work so that they could enjoy her money. I am so disappointed in all of Britney Spears' family members, including Lynn, Jamie Lynn, and Brian, but mostly Jamie, who I think has abused every single other family member in their family system into being compliant and afraid of him and his wishes. That is what I see as an outsider. I just see so much abuse, and I am incredibly proud of Britney Spears, what she's been able to go through. I can tell that she has a very bright soul and that she is able to combat this darkness that has come her way. It seems like she has gained so much love in her life from her fans that that love was able to keep her going, even when she was so alone that she couldn't have any friends and she couldn't trust her family, and really she could trust no one. Very few people would survive that, let me say. Very few people will survive that. And the fact that Britney survived that for 13 years and is still, honestly, it seems like she's doing pretty okay. A couple weird Instagram posts are nothing. I think that for everything that Britney's been through, I think she's been doing pretty good. So let me know what you think about this Britney Spears conservatorship case. Clearly, it is unethical. There's no way, there is no ethical lens where you could argue that this is fine. There are a million things that I could have picked apart and said exactly why this or that shouldn't have been done, but I think it's just so obvious that if somebody doesn't want medical things being done to them, they shouldn't be done to them. If somebody doesn't want to be forced to work, even though they don't need money, why are we forcing them to work? Why are we not allowing this person who clearly needs rest? The whole thing doesn't make any sense to me, and I just wanted to air out some of these frustrations. And I'm sure if you're watching this video, you also have frustrations with the conservatorship case. So if I missed any details that are disturbing, that bother you, I want you to let me know in the comments, because I honestly can't get enough of this case and just the horrors of it. It makes my heart ache for Britney. It makes me really appreciate how strong she is. And it really makes her more of a role model than I think she ever has been, because she is a role model of being through something so hard and having to pretend you're okay and having to have everyone think that there's nothing wrong with you. Everybody assumes you're Britney Spears, you're doing fine, and yet you're suffering and you're struggling on the inside and you're walking around on lithium like a zombie, feeling weak, feeling unable to move, and yet still forced to work. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Give this video a like so that more people can see it and that the algorithm picks it up. I think that this video was one of my favorites to make, so I hope you guys liked it. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. My name is Allison, and I'll see you next time. Bye!